one of the great things that we can do, like if you ever go and get a, like a Chinese massage, or go get a foot spa or whatever it is, the best thing to do is to just, dissolve that inherent existent I into emptiness, empty in reality. You arise as medicine Buddha or the Buddha. They arise as the Buddha. And so then, they're massaging your feet. They're making all the amazing good karma of massaging the feet of the Buddha. And so it's again, it's like more like stealth dharma. And then you're also relating to them as being Guru Medicine Buddha, helping you directly by massaging your feet. It's a fantastic way to do it. So yes, you're exactly right. Buddha on the couch, Buddha taking notes on in the armchair, both. But we could actually do that. If you ever go to counseling, that's exactly what you can do, both of you Buddhas. And then it's just like the most massive merit-making thing you could possibly think of.
Well,
anyway, so it's a very nice way to... It's a great image that you brought up there, Michael. I really like that. So anyone who's good at Photoshop, go for it. Yes, and that really is the essence of it with be your own therapist, that we can kind of set our motivation in this way, in a fairly informal way, by recognizing that we are our very nature, the impetus of our nature is to become a Buddha. It's like, a seed. The impetus of a seed is to become whatever that tree is. That's its nature. That's what its potential is. And that's for us. We're potential Buddhas. It's just there. And I think one time Venerable Robina said that even if we didn't want to, if all the conditions come about, we would. Just like with a seed, if all the conditions come about, the seed is there, and so then it comes to fruition. So the same with our Buddha nature. It's right there, but it's just obscured to us. And so we can actually be our own therapist, and through the power first of our thinking and our imagination, it rewires our brain, it changes our whole worldview. And so especially instances like that where you really get to relax, which Westerners hardly ever do. We get time to put it all together in a nice relaxed state and have the whole experience of the Dharma as a pleasant thing, instead of a knuckle down and study, or only doing it when we have problems. So Dharma and problems are always associated. Now we've got Dharma and relaxation and pleasant things all associated together, which we need to sustain us, isn't it? And it's actually much closer to reality to think, okay, I'm going to arise as a Buddha here, and whoever's helping me is helping the Buddha. So they're becoming, our counselor is creating mountains of merit. They're going to be the most amazing counselor because of it. So we can benefit our counselor as well as them benefit us. So everything that they do becomes an offering to the Buddha. And so that way our presence on this planet, even with problems, becomes a benefit to others. And then also we can think, here is the Buddha manifesting in a form that I can relate to. It's very hard for me to relate to the Buddha. I can't even visualize him very well. But the Buddha manifests in a form most perfect to help sentient beings. So here is the Buddha manifesting as my counselor, helping me in this way that I can relate to. How fantastic. So then we can become completely receptive to all the benefit that will flow from the counselor. And even with that attitude, even if the counselor is not very good, or even if they make mistakes, because we've got this sincerity in our heart, it's most likely to benefit us. So it's very powerful, just this way of thinking of being your own therapist. There's so many ways that we can do it. So with that little rambling introduction, let's do our short breathing meditation, and settling our body and mind. So the 9-round breathing, it's a really effective and short way to become aligned and balanced and clear out all the disturbing emotions. Settling your posture so that your back is nice and straight, your shoulders relaxed, release the tension held in those neck and shoulders. Take a couple of deep breaths and allow your breathing to come from the abdomen, making sure you're not just breathing from the top of the chest there, but really naturally letting your breathing become slower and deeper. And then imagine that you breathe in through your right nostril, radiant golden light, the essence of enlightenment. And this flows through your whole body, strong, energizing light. And as you breathe out through the left nostril, this light, it pushes out all the darkness held at your heart, all the residue, all the blackness and tightness, it just pushes it out. You breathe it out through the left nostril. So do this 3 times, long, leisurely breaths. And then when you're ready, swapping the nostrils over, this time breathing in through the left nostril, feeling that radiance flow through you, every atom of your body becoming illuminated, energized. And the bliss, the force, the clarity of this enlightened wisdom, it pushes out all of the negativities. You breathe them out through the right nostril in the form of black smoke, and feel how good it is to release them, letting out all of that toxicity. So with the nostrils swapped over again 3 times, long, leisurely breaths. And then finally, in through both nostrils, your whole body becoming radiant, light, energized, and you absorb all of the enlightened qualities, all the qualities that you wish to develop all the way to their utmost, to full enlightenment. You breathe them in and they absorb into you, and breathe out and release even the very subtle negativities, doubts, obscurations in the form of black smoke that begins to become a little bit thinner as you get down to even the very subtle ones. So 3 times through both nostrils. And now that we're free of all of those negativities, our body relaxed and energized, our mind clear, alert, blissful, We can set an altruistic motivation for today. We can recognize not only are we to be our own therapist, we already are our own therapist. We already have everything within us needed to become completely free of all of samsara and its problems. And not only that, but to lead everybody else into a state of lasting happiness as well. We already are our own therapist. So we can make a immediate motivation that today we can really connect with that Buddha potential, that Buddha nature, and so that we can bring it completely to fruition in this very lifetime. And so then gently bringing your focus back to the room, and we can dive into the nitty-gritty of the week, the details. So now we've got this big context. Now it's safe to dive into what's been going on. So how is everybody, and what have been the themes of the week? Who's going to be brave and start off the conversation? What's been going on? Is that you, Kim? How are you going? Can you unmute? Hang on a sec. Doesn't seem to be working. No.
Miffi, I have a question.
Yeah, go for it, Michael.
I'm not sure if you want me to ask this somewhere else, that's fine. But based on what you were, based on what's been going on for me with all the teachings lately, but you said something earlier, and now I'm already blanking on what it was. Because of causes and conditions. What's the Buddhist view of free will?
Oh, it doesn't exist. Like
okay.
free
will.
Makes sense. Free will's a Christian thing.
Makes perfectly good sense, because there's causes and effect, and it never occurred to me before to think it through like that.
Well, it didn't occur to me either until I went to a teaching with Corey Jackson. So he does these, he's trained in CEB, cultivating emotional balance, the B. Alan Wallace kind of thing. And he's been doing a PhD that looks at neuroscience and all sorts of things. And he's been leading these courses here called Buddhism and Science. And I've found them incredibly fascinating. And someone asked him this very thing, what about free will? Because when we hear free will, we think it's like a philosophical or scientific term. It's a religious term, but scientists use it and they don't even realize. It comes from a Judeo-Christian background that we were given free will. It's deeply religious and it permeates everything in science. Isn't that amazing? So the Buddhist worldview is similar, but you cannot find an equivalence there, because free will is like a little area given to us by a creator. Whereas from a Buddhist point of view, it's something similar, which is we have at every moment a chance to change our karma. But what hampers it are all of the surrounding circumstances. And so sometimes they're very overwhelming and things have to run their course. And other times we can make this superhuman effort and overcome them. So, we say we can always change our karma, but depending on the circumstances, say, for instance, if we have brain damage, it's very difficult to undo that, to change our karma, but we can still make that beneficial in a way by working on our motivation, by, being good-hearted, all of those things. It gives other people an opportunity to look after us. So it's within the constrictions of whatever circumstances we're at. But the Buddhist worldview is we not only can make a choice, but we must make a choice Otherwise, we're just going to continue to go up and around, you know, around and around and around. So it's a really interesting point that you brought up, Michael. I've tried to fit it into my understanding of like Western social studies, I suppose, because there's a whole lot of there's an idea of determinism in Western science and Western medicine that's also underlies everything. That, you know, if your brain is set in a particular way, or your genetic inheritance is a particular way, then that's it. There's nothing that we can do about it. But even in Western science now, your genetic inheritance isn't set in stone either. So whatever genes that we have, whether they become fully expressed or not depends on our circumstances. And so if you're in fortuitous circumstances, then illnesses and things like that may never become fully fledged. Whereas if you're in really hard circumstances, they might be. And so you can actually change the genetic expression, which is really amazing. That's just from a Western science point of view. So we can kind of take that and put it together then with our understanding about karma, which is kind of much clearer, explains how this works, and learn to work with it. Because working with karma is like working with cause and effect. So we're in Western science beginning to work with cause and effect on a physical level. And a lot of that then's coming down to really subtle physical level of neuroscience. And so even, you know, those studies about happiness and how we're born with a particular baseline of happiness, and it's to do with how our brain's wired and the serotonin and blah blah blah, all of that, the physically how our brain is. There's a baseline of happiness, and some people's baseline of happiness, their normal default state, it's a really high. It's like not just neutral, but they're just naturally happy. And other people's baseline's really low. So if you're like, I remember in the 80s they started talking about crack babies, you know, so you're born with a physical, almost a physical impossibility of experiencing happiness. So then that baseline's really, really low. So even with that physical, which is really strong, even that can be changed. It takes concerted effort, but it can be physically changed because of brain plasticity in this lifetime. So on the Western side of things, we're learning to work with that cause and effect on a really subtle level. And what really helps it is working with cause and effect karma, which is internal cause and effect in our mind. Then the two can really support each other. And I just found in a way it's important that we kind of incorporate both of those things, because I found, I don't know if it's to do with Westerners or whatever, but we tend to go hard with Dharma and forget to enjoy it. You know, whereas to make it sustainable, it's got to be enjoyable. We've got to bring some kind of joy to it. So even understanding cause and effect and karma, we've got to kind of bring some joy to it as well. Otherwise, we're just going to force ourselves and whatever, and then eventually give up. So it's a little bit of a sideways ramble for you there, Michael. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I guess the question is that regardless of whether I look at it as free will or as causes and conditions, and this is the hard part, right? Do I have a choice in whether I generate good karma or bad karma? And if I don't have a choice, then I kind of think that's a problem. if I do have a choice, then isn't that kind of saying that free will still exists even within, I mean, because I generate causes and conditions, right? But then I still get to, I still get at some point to say how I view those causes and conditions, right? So you were talking about there are people who have this baseline of happiness really high, right? But there's also people who doesn't matter what happens to them, they look at it as really good. And there are people that no matter how good a thing happens to them, they look at it as, oh my God, my life is destroyed, my life is crap, right?
Yeah.
And so and I would say that, you know, that's you know, that probably relates to karma and all that, but I still have the ability to go beyond that, to make that superhuman effort.
Yeah. So that process is what you're describing. It's the same from this Western point of view of free will and from a Buddhist point of view of karma. But what's different is when you say, do I still have a choice? The Western point of view of free will thinks the choice comes from somebody else. The choice is given from someone else. Whereas Buddhism, we may have a choice in this situation or we may not, but no one is giving us that choice. It's just karma. It's just cause and effect. We can either do something about it or we can't in the situation. There's no third external factor like a creator God or someone bestowing the choice. And that's the difference.
Thank you. That was the piece I was missing.
Yeah, great. Excellent. Okay. Anthea, you too had something.
Oh, I was just thinking, like on that conversation that it's, for me, it's about where the similarity lies is in the responsibility that we have. So, you know, both the free will idea and you know, the karma thing, it's about, I'm taking responsibility for right now in this moment, that whether or not I can do something about the situation, I can take responsibility for how I relate to the situation or respond to it. So, you know, which is what makes me think is the real point behind free will in Christianity from when I was a kid, was about going, no, take responsibility.
Yeah, that's right. It's really good. And responsibility's got a couple of avenues too, because one, when we take responsibility, we're shouldering the responsibility for the benefit of others, aren't we? We're kind of recognizing that what we do has an impact. We can be unaware of it or aware of it, but just being in the world has an impact. So we're taking that responsibility for the welfare of others. So that one can also be our ticket out of there, because that's a huge galvanizing motivation, the welfare of others. Even just the welfare of one other being, like our pets. You know, we can be in the complete doldrums, but we have to get up to feed the cat or the dog. You know, we've taken responsibility for their welfare and it pulls us out of ourselves. So that's one kind of avenue of that word responsibility. But the other side of responsibility is power. So when you take responsibility, you stop blaming others. And while it's nice to blame others, that while we do, if it's not my fault, I also cannot do anything about it. So then you just got to suck it up and stop complaining. But the moment you kind of stop blaming others and take responsibility for your side, now you have the power. Now you can change things. How amazing. So because I shy away from the word responsibility, but I don't shy away from power. I was like, oh, okay, so that gives me some freedom, some energy here, possibility to do things. Oh yeah, I have to take responsibility for my own experience, but I can. And that's, yeah, quite liberating. But, you know, Lama Yeshe always said you have to be really mentally strong to take on the Dharma. And this is why, because we can't always take responsibility. Sometimes we need some nurturing and some remedial help first before we can take on the responsibility, or it's really, really hard. So we've got to get our mental health good and strong and positive first, and then dive in to the situation. Just wondering, where does this fit in with any of my any of my little screen shares? I just like don't know where we've launched off tonight. What else are we talking about?
But Miffi, I think that's really important, is because regardless of your traditional background, right? Either way, I have the ability to make a choice in this moment. Right? I may be overwhelmed by things, and those things, those genetics, those epigenetics, my karma, my other causes and conditions may be really pushing me in a direction. But I can at some point be able to take the responsibility to make a choice that changes my direction.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a little bit, even if it's just a little tiny bit of change.
Yeah, I mean, and even if we can't make a choice of how we're thinking or feeling, we definitely can make a choice what we say. And I mean, this is probably one of the benefits of being brought up with manners, is that it saves a whole lot of, I mean, I wasn't brought up with manners, or maybe they tried to bring me up with manners, but I never noticed any. It can save a whole lot of complications, and you can create just a nice amount of harmony with manners. And I must say, you know, the Americans are very well bred, very well mannered. You've got such a nice manner. I'm always just thinking, oh my gosh, here I am, the barbarian Australian. But that's like the worldly ethics or the worldly manners. But then we can have that same kind of, you know, approach inside of really to not just have manners just to smooth things out so we don't experience discomfort, but really manners as an offering to others. So we can just make those ordinary things that we do, instead of motivated by, say, the worldly concerns, motivated by this wish to create harmony. And then just simple manners can become really profound. Yes, what else? Yeah, Anthea, go for it.
I've been having a bit of difficulty with a pretty good friend of ours. So I'm now living up in Thursday Island, and so we're on a group chat, which is really, really vital for me, being away from everyone. But yeah, one of our friends, you know, had a bit of a blunder. Everyone was all a bit hurt, and so I was trying to, you know, just sort of go, okay, everyone, what have you muddled here? What are you going to do next time? And just sort of helping people to not accuse others, just own what they're doing and move forward. And everyone did, except one friend who is just extremely, I'm really surprised by her behavior, because she's extremely defensive about the smallest things, and taking, you know, like she's really jumping to a negative interpretation, like before, like it's really quite amazing how, like, I prepared a little thing and then was just copying and pasting it in, and she had typed so quickly, so reactively and quickly, that she didn't take everything I was saying. And I think if she took everything I was saying before she responded, she would have understood what I was saying, but she's completely understood. And it's really defensive about owning anything. And so we are about to have on the weekend like a video call to just go, okay, let's clarify confusion and you know, and work it out. But yeah, I just thought if you had any extra tips, because she's not normal. It's like, it's not
right.
your average.
That's your key, that she's in the poker world called on tilt. She's already on tilt.
Okay.
And so or I think in psychology they call it, she's already triggered.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we know this with ourselves, when anything that happens just serves to annoy us even more, just serves to make us even more upset, because we're fully triggered into whatever it is making us upset. And then it doesn't matter what anybody says, whether it's more nastiness or whether it's kind, everything is felt as an insult. So how you've described her, that's the state that she's in. So there's no way that rational words is going to help that ever. And
right, not even with time.
No, and maybe with time, but anything that you say will be wasted and will lose its power. Just forget about it. You've got to stop being, you have to help her to stop being in that state. And so that's coming at it from a different point of view. So maybe playing some comedy clip beforehand so that you all end up laughing together, or sharing little funny, silly cupcake characters that you've all made and showing them, or something that is has a completely different feeling tone, completely changes the channel, where you're relaxed and you're happy.
Right. So like reassure her that she's loved and wanted. And
but not even that, it's like doing something that is completely different. It's changing the entire physical, emotional experience, because just saying you're loved, she'll just hear that as an insult.
Yeah.
You know, it won't work. Yeah. It's got to be a whole different experience. So a group of friends that laugh together, stay together. So play some crazy favorite comedy skit that you all love, or, you know, I mean, years ago at Lunbury Tonka Centre, when I first got there, the first bunch of the committee after my mother died, we used to watch the original series of Malcolm in the Middle. We'd have our committee meeting, we'd watch half an hour episode of Malcolm in the Middle, roll around the floor laughing, and then have our committee meeting. It was the best committee ever. And you might think, oh, half an hour wasted. No. Very best decisions made when you're all happy and bonded. So something to stop her being on tilt. And then from that happy space of having built some bonds and everything, you can then, whatever words to say, wisdom will get through.
Okay.
It's quite hard if you're on a group chat, though. It's much more difficult. If you're in person, I would say it's like go for a walk together, or go swimming, or something physical, doing, and then talk.
Yeah. So I was thinking that maybe you were suggesting to just let it go, but I don't think I can, in the sense of I'm not angry and hurt. I'm just like, there's, you know, like, it's not okay to
it's not okay.
Speak
so you got to pick
to your
time,
friends
though.
with contempt.
You really have to pick your time, because if you do it while someone's on tilt, it just won't work. It'll just make it worse, and you'll waste all of your energy. So let's have a look. I found my screen. I found the screen that we're going to have. Let's see. And it's this one. And let's see if it takes it to. So divisive talk, which is what this sounds like. I mean, it's kind of a cross between harsh words and divisive talk, but when everything goes askew. So even if she's experiencing it, so the core, what it is, talking behind people's back, slander, excessive criticism. So we might experience that, or we might be doing that. But so talk that causes division and upset, and especially with excessive criticism, it can really become a runaway train, can't it? You find one thing that went wrong, and then you find a million others really quickly. So also the talking behind people's back, if we're really upset, it becomes divisive talk, because what we end up doing is fusing the person and what's happening. So there's a terrible situation and we just start thinking it's a terrible person, which is clearly the prison that, you know, she's stuck in. So the results of that, and this is the real tragedy of karmic cause and effect, is that the results of excessive criticism, of divisive talk for us, which comes from being upset and angry and full of aversion and whatever, the result is we can't find any friends. It's the exact opposite of what we want, isn't it? People are accusing us of things we didn't do, and we experience a lot of disharmony. So what to abandon is that impetus for habitual criticism. So the other thing maybe with her that comes to mind now is to really focus on her good qualities. And so you're pretty clear about what she's doing wrong, and you've got to keep that in mind. But rather than have it end up becoming kind of a habitual thing, we have to put a huge amount of effort into finding her good qualities, because clearly she can't find her good qualities. And if we want to be good friends, we have to relate to those and bring them to the fore for her. So you've got to find the little tiny skerrick of where she's kind and compassionate and tolerant or whatever, or an instance of it, and bring her attention to it. Remember that time when you're so kind or so tolerant, or I was really impressed with the effort that you put in or whatever. So she starts feeling good about herself again and relating with her power. So, you know, from our side, we abandon the criticism part where it's so easy to see the faults and what's wrong, and really try and look at her good qualities, and being really clear in our speech. So avoiding the overgeneralization, the stereotypes, the oh, you always do this, or you never do that, or, you know, all of that kind of stuff, to get very specific about the place and the time, so that things become clearer rather than big and general overgeneralization. What to practice: encourage harmony, help resolve disputes, give compliments. So, you know, they're in a way, it's quite hard to have the presence of mind to give a compliment, but if you can find something to compliment her with, and you can do your stealth dharma here by really trying to think of several instances and have them ready, that you can just slip them nonchalantly into the conversation as a compliment to build her up. But you see, it's not like an empty compliment of just stroking someone's ego. It's based in an actual good characteristic that she has. So it's different from stroking the ego. It's really trying to help her bring her qualities to the fore. So yeah, giving compliments takes a lot of prior preparation. Don't just think, oh, you're going to have them come off and, you know, off the cuff kind of thing. Lots of prep, and then just pretend it's off the cuff. So don't get too freaked out. Encouraging harmony. So never give up on that. Don't give any airtime to when she's all triggered. Don't give airtime to that. You know, so often when someone's triggered, they'll jump in, they'll say the thing, and then it's so quick. And then what we do, we're just as quick. We jump in on the other side, And so the whole thing just gets tight really quickly. So the other thing to encourage harmony is to just get really relaxed and go, yeah, I can see what you mean. Tell me more. So it slows it down. And so in my class last week, one of the classes, I mean, what the Buddha said about speech in particular, is it not just, is it true? So it's got to be based in something that's quite relevant to her now, true, but it's got to be necessary and kind. So is it going to be helpful in the moment to say it? Is it necessary to say? And is it said kindly? And really, that makes all the difference in the world too, doesn't it? Because we get cold, hard truths, or we get help and support from our friends that's a lot more skillful and nicely packaged. So with kindness. And the benefit, well, the benefit number one for you, Anthea, is you will never lack friends. You put in this effort, you will never lack friends. You'll naturally attract others. You'll naturally attract good friends. You'll have instant rapport with people. People will feel safe with you. So, I mean, because there's two things happening here, isn't there? There's the situation that you've got, but this is like a little laboratory exercise for you where it can help you. 100% guaranteed it can help you. The benefit for you of abandoning divisive talk and trying to help her is your friendships will get better and stronger. So I hope that gives you some real, hands-on things to get going with.
Yeah, no, that was really good. Like it was nice to be like, to just sort of go, oh, good, yeah, good. I did do that, excellent, and have the thing of going, oh yeah, more compliments, but like the sincere ones that are about the behavior that's genuinely beneficial to everyone, because there is so much of that. Like this is so out of character. It's a side I haven't seen before. So there's heaps that I could draw on to
so actually even just finding a time where you can say that, where you can let her know that that even though it's really difficult and everything for her at the moment, and the relationships might be really difficult, this unhappiness and disgruntlement or whatever it is, it's really out of character. I'm so concerned about you. I know this is not you. And just helping her to remember that she's not her disturbing emotions. She's not her problem.
Yeah.
So
cool. Thank you.
You've hit the nail right on the head there. It's out of character. Yes, it is. And that's something you can really share and elaborate on and help her and crack some jokes and remember that time when blah, blah, blah,
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Does anyone have anything else? Or we can do our home meditation to purify our speech. But are there any other thoughts or questions or comments you'd like to make? Notice Ella's here. Ella, nice to see you.
Oh, hi, Miffi. Hello.
How are you going?
I just clicked on a Zoom button, but I didn't really know what class I was coming to. So I'm really glad, because that was actually really good for me. I was really glad.
That's amazingly good merit, karma, that you have to just like randomly click on a button.
Because a friend sent me something, and then I thought, oh, click on this, and I looked at the page, and then so this is really good. It's very good because in my own life, I had a very difficult 2 years with probably the work situation. And it caused me so much stress that I'm not working now, because what ended up happening was my poor boss didn't know he was diagnosed with dementia, but he got used to get very angry and I found that I couldn't cope with it very well. And I think in a way I blame myself, but it kind of like, it was very difficult. So
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm thinking about it now, but I just you don't realize that. Yeah.
No, it's like a lobster cooking in a pot. You don't realize how hard it is until something in you breaks. And then, you know, because everything just kind of becomes normalized because it's just incremental.
So I guess, it's so how to deal with that situation and then try to move on from when you've had a difficult work experience or there's been a lot of anger thrown at you. Like, how do you go on and not get triggered again in another situation, to not take it on as well?
Well, a lot of it, I mean, in a way, it's much easier if you find out, I had a diagnosis of dementia, because right there it's palpable, not him. It's an affliction. It's the affliction with the anger. You still feel the blows. You still go through that experience, but it helps to not take it personally.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's a real middle way. So you can have actually even compassion for him and know, wow, like dementia is like really horrible like that. And it happens to so many people. It's disturbing for the person with dementia, and it's just disturbing for everybody around, but it's really clear it's not them. It's, you know, it's so with that, but at the same time, the blows that you absorbed emotionally, physically, whatever, they're real as well. Like, they happen. You can't underestimate them. And if you're in the boxing ring for 2 years, it's going to take a long time to recover.
And I found like that stress, my behavior became not great either with other people. And just spontaneously I do things and I go, what am I doing that for? Like it didn't, if you don't process what's going on, it can sometimes affect other people, the stress of it. That's when I realized that it would have a flow-on effect. My behavior didn't become very good either, maybe not in the situation, but also with other people.
And that can be really shocking, because you let yourself down, you let others down. But in the same way, Ella, then you've got to recognize that's not you. It's not deeply intrinsically you. It's you just being reactive. And so it can be a bit of a rude awakening, but you can now, in your own leisure time, when you're sitting on the deck or in a nice bath or something where you're feeling happy and relaxed, to look back and go, where is my limit that I can withstand? And then when I start retaliating, or I start getting cranky, or I start letting it out on others, how can I notice when I reach that limit? That's what you have to get from this. And so it might be a lot earlier than you want it to be. And you've got to be realistic about this and go, oh, okay, I shouldn't have let it go on that long. That was a mistake. How am I going to know in the future? Oh, this is the warning sign that after this, I'm going to start losing it. You've got to find those warning signs, and they could be really weird things. So I've got a warning sign, and it's my eye starts twitching. I feel like I'm like Quasimodo, you know, nobody else can see it. It's got nothing to do with anything, but it's a warning sign. The other one is when you get cranky with people. That's another warning sign. So, you know, you've got this great benefit that you don't have dementia. You can actually notice those warning signs. And just slot them in to protect yourself and others.
That sounds really good.
And it's going to take a while to recover. So the thing about being injured emotionally is, if you give yourself time to recover, you can actually be soft and vulnerable and open your heart to others, and you become a lot more tolerant and patient with other wounded people.
Yeah.
If you don't give yourself time to recover, you're going to become really intolerant and hard.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's true.
It's
Yeah.
tricky. I'm just saying all of this because, you know, I've fallen into all of these, all of the above. So, yeah, Ella, thank you. Thank you for sharing. And I'm pretty sure.
Oh, thanks. I didn't realize I was going to say all that, but thank you. I'm really glad. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and clearly it's still right there and really raw. So you have to just let it be there. And like with healing from the flu, you can't tell your body hurry up.
Yeah.
And you can't tell your emotions hurry up. It just has to go through. And you give as much support as you can. And like with the flu, what do they say? The very best thing is to rest. And it's the last thing any of us want to do. But that's the one thing that makes it hurry up. So the same with our emotions. The very best thing is to relax and rest in them. Not like hurry up. Okay, so that's excellent. Let's do our just short meditation then to really actively purify those things, the very things that we've talked about today. So our really short Om Ahum meditation from Lama Yeshe. And when we do it with the 4 opponent powers, which are kind of built in, it becomes a complete purification practice. So just sitting in a relaxed way, but your spine fairly straight, so you're feeling alert and engaged. Mirroring Lama Yeshe's posture if you can. And becoming aware of your body and imagining that the inside of your body is completely clear. And within it are these 3 radiant syllables. The white Om in the center of your head, 3-dimensional, like a neon sign, but very soft, flexible. A red R at your throat, radiant warmth, like the red sun at sunset. And a blue Hum at your heart, bottle blue, like deep unobstructed space. And these 3 syllables are there. They are your seeds for enlightenment. Your seeds of enlightened body, speech, and mind. They're there all the time. So now you're just becoming aware of them. First, concentrate on the white Om in the center of your head. And we can bring to mind our various themes of today and how it's had an effect on us physically, and it's also had an effect on how we've expressed ourselves physically. So we can allow ourselves to feel some regret, and we can take refuge in our innate purity. And think that radiant white light flows from this Om through your whole body and purifies all the negative things that you've done, the negativities of physical actions, and all of the physical illnesses and diseases and even just tiredness as we chant the syllable Om. So it reverberates through your whole body. Om. 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 hearing with your inner ears, feeling the reverberation of the Om, filling your whole body so it becomes resonant completely with the enlightened form, the divine body of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And then gently shifting your focus to the throat, the red R at the throat, radiant, warm, powerful, like the sun at sunset. And as we chant the syllable R, feel our consciousness expand. Feel your whole body filled with the radiant red light energy, the enlightened speech, the way the world is framed, the enlightened speech of all the Buddhas. And feel in particular all the unskillful speech, all of that unskillfulness is dissolved in that radiance, and your speech becomes very powerful, like the speech of the Buddhas. So as you chant the syllable R, feel how your whole throat expands. This even physiologically has an effect on us of releasing the vagus nerve. Our whole speech chakra, the red light radiating through your whole body. Your mind in a state of intense awareness. And then gently shifting your focus to the blue hum at your heart, and feel not that you're looking down on the hum, but that you are the hum. You're there in the center. That radiant blue hum, like space without end. And as we chant the syllable hum, the blue light flows through your whole being. All narrow thoughts disappear. All indecisive minds disappear. All obsessed minds disappear. Your mind is filled with this radiance and expansiveness, the infinite blue light, like your consciousness. All dualistic concepts dissolve. Om. 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 Your intensive awareness without limit, embracing all universal reality, free of dualism, free of barriers, fully and blissfully knowing all things. And then we can make our resolve how we're going to live our life for the next day and the next week, informed by our seeds of enlightened body, speech, and mind. And also with a resolution, what we're going to refrain from, being confident that we have the strength, especially with our speech, to be able to refrain from any negativities, and that everything that we say and do will come from this enlightened perspective. And in this way, may we bring forth our own qualities, all the way to bringing forth those qualities up to enlightenment. And may we lead all others to enlightenment as we go. And so thank you so much, everybody. I feel very happy of having spent the time like this. Goes by so quickly, doesn't it? Have a wonderful rest of the time. Take care, and I hope to see you next week, same time, same place.
Thank you.